Charles Fisher by Hannah Brash
and Makenna Morrison.
Charles Fisher's birth date and death date.
Charles Fisher was born August 15th, 1808 in Fredericton, New Brunswick, or some say September 16th, but they weren't exactly sure. Charles Fisher died December 18th, 1880, the same place he was born, Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Charles Fisher's personal facts. Charles Fisher was a part of the Liberal Party. His wife's name was Amelia Fisher. He had 4 sons and 4 daughters, and we don't know which daughter, but one of his daughters ended up marrying the future Premier, John James Fisher. Why did Charles Fisher join the Confederation?
Charles Fisher joined the Confederation because during his legal studies, he developed a strong interest in constitutional law and became an outspoken advocate of self-government for New Brunswick. Who was Charles Fisher in Confederation?
Charles Fisher was a politician and jurist of New Brunswick, Canada. Fisher was a leading reformer of his day who headed the first responsible government in New Brunswick from 1854 to 1861. In case you don't know what a jurist is, it is someone who researches and studies theory of law. Such a person can work as an academic, legal writer, or law lecturer. Why Charles Fisher in the Confederation painting?
Charles Fisher was in the Confederation painting because he was part of the Parliament, and also because he was the 5th Premier. So there was a 2nd Premier, 3rd Premier, 4th Premier, and just in case all of them died, he would become the Premier. Therefore, he was quite high in the ranks or government food chain. Charles Fisher was always a well-treated man, but he always put family first.
Why did the Fathers of Confederation think of Fisher? Most of the fathers did not like Fisher because of his headstrong behavior and need to be in control. But the fathers needed him because he was one of the best jurists in the country. So there they had to put up with Charles Fisher. What is Charles Fisher known for?
Charles Fisher is known for because he headed the first responsible government in New Brunswick from 1854 to 1861. He also introduced a bill that we'll talk about in future slides. Charles Fisher relationships.
Charles Fisher's relationships with Edward Chandler and Robert Hazen was most amicable. Charles Fisher and Edward Chandler and Robert Hazen were all members of the Parliament. Charles got appointed to a higher job by Edward and Robert, which was soon to be a disaster job. Charles Fisher took the job, but soon realizing that he was in for a losing job, and Edward and Robert had set him up. Eventually, he got mad at the 2 men, but had nothing to do and was making a very little money until he won the election in 1854. Charles Fisher introducing a bill.
Charles Fisher introduced a bill in 1842 that would require members of the Executive Council to hold office through election. This helped people because then they were able to have government make decisions while they were having an election, so that there would still be law and order. This law is still in play to this day. Where is Charles Fisher in the painting?
Charles Fisher's on the left side near the back. He is sitting down, and here are some photos of him.
He is right behind number 3.
And so he's number 5 on the photo to the left, and he is right behind the man in the gold shirt on the right. Bibliography. We use
www.biography.ca,
CanadaHistory.com,
FactuallyMarinopolis.education,
and Quebec History
/Encyclopedia/Charles Fisher -Canadianhistory.htm. Thank you.
Thank you.